And welcome to another episode of Hazardous Verbal Waste. I am your host, Shiro-chan. Today is Sunday, December 1st, 2019. Got a lot of really cool stuff to go over this week, including a review of the sneak peek that happened just this past weekend for Trials of the Kingdom for Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed Duel. So, without further ado, let's get right down to it, shall we? In Yu-Gi-Oh! News, Yu-Gi-Oh! Getting live-action teaser from Detective Pikachu artist. Earlier this year, Detective Pikachu went live with an ambitious goal. The film stands as the first live-action adaptation of Pokemon, and it left fans of the franchise wowed. Thanks to its talented team, the movie perfectly captured Pokemon's live-action aesthetic, and one of its artists is ready to take on Yu-Gi-Oh! Taking to Twitter, fans were surprised with R.J. Palmer updating their Twitter page. The digital artist who did many of the designs for Detective Pikachu wanted to share a tip they discovered, but as you can see, it didn't take long for fans to pick up on what the artist was drawing. After all, it's pretty hard to miss the Blue Eyes White Dragon. Even the most casual of anime fans could recognize the monster, and Palmer is ready to give his take on the beast. As you can see in the tweet, which I will try to add to the show notes, the teaser shows a close-up of the Blue Eyes White Dragon. For once, the beast is given some actual scales, which shine under the light. The texture gets smooth once the dragon's head comes into light, and fans are loving how the monster looks. Of course, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has no plans to go live action right now, but the idea has intrigued fans for years, especially myself. And when the series rose to fame, the technology to bring dual monsters to life didn't exist. Nowadays, there's nothing holding back such an adaptation, save for a script and budget. And if Palmer were behind the wheel when it came to designs, Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans would get on board with a live-action feature real fast. I know I have been anticipating a live-action Yu-Gi-Oh! Film for quite a while. Real question is, these days, is where in the timeline will it fit? Is it going to be a live-action adaptation of the original series, GX, 5Ds, Zexal? I mean, there's so many different series that this particular live-action adaptation could come from or fit in between. Well, we'll definitely have to see. Also in Yu-Gi-Oh! News, this weekend marked the sneak peek for Trials of the Kingdom, the new Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed Duel Set. I was honestly a little surprised that there was even going to be a sneak peek for the Speed Duel sets, considering that I had not heard of sneak peeks for any of the previous sets, save the original that came out with the starter decks. But apparently there was a sneak peek. There was a lot of cool stuff. Got a special promo skill card for Mako Tsunami, 10 packs of cards, and a special promo pack of cards to fill out a deck, should dueling actually happen. We did get 2 game mats that were to be given out randomly. Unfortunately, at the sneak peek I went to, there were only 2 players, so each of us got a mat. The mat kind of also depicts what's on the pack foils, and that's the Yami Yugi, backed by his one monster. 1 second. The monster is Magician of Black Chaos. On the pack foils, they are together, but on the game mat, you can actually see Magician of Black Chaos on one side and Yugi on the other side. It's a really nice mat. It's one of those mini mats, so it's not like a full-size mat like usual, but it is for speed duels, so of course, don't really need as much room as you would with the standard TCG. Pulled a lot of really cool stuff. It seemed like there was a lot of Mako Tsunami support. There was a little bit of machines in there and support for some of the other archetypes. The promo pack actually came with 4 generic skill cards. These are the first skill cards that do not pertain to a specific character. These cards include Digging for Gold, Fusion Party, Low Blow, and Ritual Ceremony. Ritual Ceremony, the character's name is Emma. She's a character from Duel Links. Ritual Ceremony, activate this skill during your main phase. Once per duel, you can reveal 1 ritual monster from your hand, then add 1 ritual spell from your deck to your hand that can ritual summon that monster. Now, from my personal experience, there aren't a whole lot of ritual monsters released yet for speed duels. As of right now, I only have 2. The Magician of Black Chaos and Super War Lion. The other one's Fusion Party. It's a skill for the character Christine, also from Duel Links. Activate this skill during your main phase. Once per duel, you can fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. So this would be a great card for any speed duel decks that rely on fusion monsters, of which there are plenty. Low Blow. The character's name is Andrew. Activate this skill during your main phase. Once per duel, you can make 1 monster on the field lose 500 attack and defense until the end of this turn. So not really that useful. I mean, it could mean the difference between losing your monster and the game, or just losing your monster, or even maybe doing a little bit of damage to your opponent and your opponent losing a monster. But honestly, I'm not seeing Low Blow getting a lot of play. The last one is Digging for Gold. The character name is David. Activate this skill during your main phase. Once per duel, you can banish 3 cards from your graveyard, then draw 1 card. Again, not that great of a card. I mean, yeah, draw power is big, but I honestly don't see those 2 cards being used. Fusion Party, I can see getting used. And Ritual Ceremony, yeah, I could see that being used, especially given how fast this Speed Duels is supposed to go. I could see getting out your Ritual Monster, getting out your Fusion Monster being game enders. And so you want to get to those quickly. But the other 2, really, I just don't see getting used a lot. That is pretty much all we have for Yu-Gi-Oh! This week. I was kind of hoping to get a little bit more in regards to the sneak peek, but as I said, only 2 people showed up, me and another person. Unfortunately, the other person was not willing to sign a release so that I could use their recording for my podcast episode, so I don't have the interview I was hoping for. Anyway, like I said, that's all I have for Yu-Gi-Oh! This week. On to the next segment. In Pokemon news, Pokemon Sword and Shield's raid exploit is ruining it for everyone. A raid battles, where up to 4 players go up against a powerful monster, are supposed to be one of Pokemon Sword and Shield's biggest new draws. You get to battle a strong monster and then have a chance to capture it after you're done. But a surprisingly easy exploit is souring the experience for players everywhere. Now, normally when you approach a den in the wild area, the spawn is specific and set, at least for a while. But clever players have figured out that if you change the date on your Nintendo Switch, the game will update the raid monster in question. And the game will also award you more watts when you check the den again, so there's a huge farming potential. You could just keep re-rolling until you find the monster that you want to capture. It's something that you can enact within seconds, both offline and online. Now, the problem beyond not knowing if Game Freak will eventually take action against cheaters is that in order to pull this off, you have to actually open up a lobby. And if you don't like what the lobby is offering and go on to open another one, other players may be stuck trying to join matches that don't actually exist. Now, Polygon spoke to several players who tried raiding over the weekend. It seems that many fans are having trouble actually getting raids to work. While the raid exploit may very well be the culprit at times, though it's worth noting that the game already exhibited wonky connectivity issues before this as well. One Twitter user wrote, "One of my friends keeps doing the raid reset exploit, so I'm getting spammed with raids I can't even join." Another Twitter user said, "Side effect of the exploit being used, one step involves opening a bunch of raid lobbies, then go abandoned. If anyone else tries to join that empty lobby, they get hit with the error." A Pokemon fan said on Twitter, "You're lucky if you enter a raid that the host doesn't just back out of." Another Twitter user mused, "This exploit has completely ruined raids, to be honest. Nothing about them is special anymore. If you want the rare thing, you can have the rare thing. Literally, you have a 100% chance of getting the rarest Pokemon from a raid if you just use the exploit for a few minutes." Now, Pokemon Sword and Shield are scheduled to go down for maintenance for a few hours this coming Tuesday, so it's possible that Game Freak will address this widespread issue, along with more general performance problems encountered in the wild area. For now, though, if you're having trouble merely finding a raid to join, this exploit may be why. Best to stick to local matches with friends if possible. Also in Pokemon news, sorry folks, Pokemon's new anime just got a lot harder to watch. Now, Pokemon has debuted the latest iteration of its anime franchise, and it's been a huge hit with the fans who have managed to already check it out. But unlike other new anime releases, fans outside of Japan aren't usually able to watch the series until it gets licensed for an official English language release months after its initial debut. Now, the premiere was a little different, however, as the official YouTube channel officially released the first episode, and fans from all over were able to check it out, and even promised to share more on a weekly basis. Unfortunately, this was a limited time arrangement, as now the first episode of the new series, and presumably future episodes, is now region locked to Japan, meaning that now it's going to be quite a long wait before fans outside of Japan will be able to see the new series legally. Now, while fans outside of Japan didn't expect the series to be available for viewing on YouTube for very long, seeing that first episode was certainly a surprise. And getting over 2 million views before being region locked, it definitely showed that fans are at least interested at seeing the new episodes as soon as possible. But as the series is released now, it's on quite a hefty delay, and the episode was most likely region locked due to various licensing hangups. The Sun and Moon iteration of the series is still far from over in the English language release, so it's going to be an even longer wait before the new series makes its official debut. But on the other hand, there will be quite a few episodes under its belt when it finally makes its official English language debut. Still, it does beg the question of whether or not the anime releases could be sped up given all the other faster anime streaming services and licensors currently at market. Pokemon the series is now airing new episodes weekly in Japan, but unfortunately is still not officially licensed for an English language release as of this recording. Now, staff confirmed for the new series was including Dakai Tomiyasu, serving as Chief Director for OLM, Maki Odara as Series Director, Kunihiko Yoyama as Creative Supervisor, Shoji Yonemura overseeing series construction, Shuhei Yasuda serving as Character Designer, Masafume Mima as Sound Director, Yuki Hayashi as Series Composer. Voice cast members include Daiki Yamashita as Go, Yuichi Nakamura as Professor Sakuragi, sorry about that, Kana Hanazawa as Koharu, Megumi Hayashibara as Jesse, Shinichiro Miki as James, and Inuko Inuyama as Meowth. A lot of really good information there. Unfortunately, that's all I have for Pokemon news this week. And on to the next segment. In tech news, Since there isn't a whole lot going on this week in tech news, I thought I would do a quick review of two items that I recently purchased from Amazon, which I am really loving. Actually, three items, technically. The first item is, let me just bring this up here, the Zag Slimbook Ultra Thin Case, hinged with detachable backlit Bluetooth keyboard for iPad Mini 2, iPad Mini 3. It's basically a keyboard case for the iPad Mini 2 and 3. It's got a detachable keyboard that actually closes clamshell like, so it's almost like a miniature laptop. It's got a great viewing angle, can have multiple angles, can even detach the keyboard, flip the screen around, and use it as a drawing pad or a book or viewing a video. I especially find it helpful when I'm in the kitchen and I'm watching instructional videos on how to prepare a particular dish. The detachable keyboard has a simple button. You push function and the right arrow, and that turns on the backlight of the keyboard. It's really helpful when typing at night and you don't want to disturb anyone. You can just turn on the keyboard light. Works really well. I've honestly haven't had an opportunity to recharge it yet because this thing has an amazing battery life. Also, for my iPad, I ordered, let me just bring up the order here. Just take a second. I do apologize that I didn't have this information handy right away. The A-Draw pen compatible for Apple, iPad. It's a rechargeable active stylus pen with a 2-in-1 copper mesh and fine tip. It has an auto off feature, which I have yet to actually experience because I'm usually turning it off as soon as I'm done using it. It comes with a really nifty little case that attaches to the iPad with a elastic band. To charge it, you simply unscrew the back tip that has the mesh fine tip, the copper mesh tip, which I've actually been using this a little bit for larger tapping issues. When I'm tapping on a particular thing instead of just drawing or writing. The other tip, the fine tip, it's a really nice tip. The fine tip doesn't work unless you turn it on. The mesh tip on the back end works no matter what. But the fine tip is what you need the power for. But as I said, you simply unscrew the mesh tip and there's a charge port. It's a standard micro USB charging port, and you just go. And it works great. I do a little doodling in a few drawing apps. I specifically bought this item for anyone who comes on my show who's recorded as a guest in person. I try and have them sign a release form. And it's kind of clunky to carry a folder full of release forms. So I discovered a way to have a release form on my iPad. And with this pen, people can sign it lickety split. And unlike trying to sign your name with a mesh tip, the fine tip works beautifully for that. The third item I purchased is for my Switch. I bought, let me just bring this up, the Fast Snail controller charger for Nintendo Switch. It's a charging dock. It can charge up to 4 Joy-Cons at a time or 2 Joy-Cons and a Pro controller. It has these 4 little pillars that when you're charging the Joy-Cons light up red while they're charging and green when they're fully charged. It also has a little on-off switch so you can turn those lights off. Judging from the pictures on the listing, you could even use it as a charging and playing stand for the Switch itself, given that the Pro Controller charging port is a USB-C adapter or connector. It works great. It allows me to see the charge status of my Joy-Cons without me having to constantly unattach the ones from my Switch console and reattach the new ones and check the... It's a big mess. And this way I can have all 4 charged all at once. That's going to come in handy in a couple of months. My nephews are going to be coming over to the West Coast from South Carolina, I believe in July. And so it'll be fun to be able to have my nephews be able to play the games that I have, like Mario Kart and Minecraft. I know they're big on Minecraft. So those are just a few things that I purchased recently that I am thoroughly enjoying. I will try and include some links in the show notes to these items so that you can purchase them yourself. That's pretty much all I have for this week. Without further ado, on to the final thoughts. Before we get to the final thoughts, a quick word from some other shows you might find entertaining.
Hey, I'm Chen.
And I'm James.
We're from A Bloody Mess Podcast, the badly researched true crime podcast.
We straddle the boundaries between documentary and comedy, and our aim is to leave you laughing and thinking, wow, I didn't know that.
So once you're done with this podcast, add us to your download lists and give us a go. Have a nice day.
Bye.
There's been a murder of podcast.
Hello! Do you listen to podcasts? Did you seriously just give me that look? I knew you listened to podcasts, but do you listen to the Bare Naked Ladies? Wait, don't hit fast forward. Yes, there's a band out there called Bare Naked Ladies. They are quirky, fun, comedic, and excellent musicians. If you love alternative 90s music with a little jazz, rap, and country mixed in at different times, then you've got to try this band out. And we will lead you through a journey of getting to love this band. We have 3 or 4 people with different levels of bare naked experience. We have Aaron, who's our music expert that breaks down each song. We will try to be informative, but also, we're all friends, so we like to have as much fun as possible. If you are a moderate fan of BNL, then you'll find new experiences and information. If you're a BNL fanatic like me, then I bet you too will find a song that is a deep dive that you never knew of. We sometimes have guests after the first letter. Oh, did I not mention that? We are Bare Naked ABCs, and the ABCs represents that we discuss the songs alphabetically. So come try us out on all platforms where podcasts are downloaded. Bare Naked ABCs. And no, we are not nude during the recordings.
Bare Naked. Bare Naked. Bare Naked. ABCs.
Hello, future listeners. We are Historical AF. I'm Ashley.
I'm Keena.
And I'm Natalie.
We are 2 librarians and a historian bringing the funny, weird, spooky, and morbid historical nuggets you never knew you needed in your ear holes every Sunday.
And once a month, we bring you extra AF episodes full of your stories and history in the news.
And we do this while hitting the giggle water and gracing the world with our foul mouths and wit.
So if you love to laugh and you like history, true crime, and the paranormal, then we are the podcast for you, and your girls can't wait for you to join us.
You can find us on all major podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. For a full list of ways to listen, go to historicalafpodcast.wordpress.com. And while you're there, you can check out the photos that accompany each episode.
Yeah, bye. We'll see you soon. I don't know. That'll probably scare them away.
Yeah.
Probably.
Come to us.
Come to the dark side. We have vodka.
And cookies.
Hell yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Well, here we are at the end of yet another episode of Hazardous Verbal Waste. I hope you've been entertained and informed. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please contact the show. There are several ways to do so. You can email us at hazardousverbal@gmail.com. You can go to the hazardousverbal.com website. There's a contact page. There you'll find a contact form that you can fill out to contact the show. You can also use any of the social media links available on the contact page to contact the show. You can leave a voice message if you would like through Skype. The Skype ID is Ichimoto1. You can leave a message there. And if you do leave a voice message, I'll make sure to play it on a future episode of Hazardous Verbal Waste. Well, we did cover quite a bit in this episode, even though there was quite a bit missing. There was no entertainment news really to speak of, no tech news other than my review of the pen keyboard case for my iPad and the Joy-Con recharger. The Speed Duel sneak peek was interesting, if a little disappointing because of a lack of attendance, but that could have just been because of the fact that it was scheduled for the weekend of Thanksgiving and Black Friday, and nobody was home or otherwise available to come to this sneak peek. I'm hoping that more sneak peeks will happen for Speed Duel sets in the future. I hope Speed Duel sets come out more frequently than they have been. I mean, so far we only have 3 sets and 2 starter decks. So, 2 starter deck sets, technically. Technically, we have 8 starter deck characters, plus a few extra characters here and there. But hopefully we'll see more coming out of that soon. Anyway, like I said, this is the final thoughts. Contact the show. Hope you've been entertained. And until next week, this is Shiro-chan signing off. Peace.